Hi dear students, in the last class we had seen Shylock explains about the abuses that Antonio did to Shylock. We had seen that Antonio used to spit on Shylock and Antonio used to call Shylock as a dog, and many times he kicked Shylock out of his house. And Shylock, one by one, he remembers and says to Antonio, and after hearing each one, Antonio is not changing his character. He says that even now also he is ready to call Shylock as a dog, and even he is ready to kick Shylock out from house. So his attitude towards Shylock doesn't change. And he says to Shylock that if you are lending money to me, lend the money as to your enemy, not to your friend. Because by using any means you can take back the money if Antonio fails to repay. That is why Antonio says that give the money as you give to your enemy, not to your friend. So if Antonio fails to repay the amount on time, then Shylock can use any means in order to get back the money. Then Shylock mentions about the kindness. That means he is giving money without any interest. Without getting any interest. Without getting interest, Shylock is ready to give money to Antonio. And that kindness or kind that we had seen, there are three different meanings. The first one was the kindness, that means empathy or sympathy. Out of that, Shylock simply gives the money. The second one is kind, the same kind of money lending practice Shylock also is going to do. And the third one, Shylock also wants to take the same kind of revenge against Antonio, and he wants to do the same kinds of insult that Antonio did to him, and he wanted to pay back the same kind of insult to Antonio. So now we will continue our class. You may please take page number 43. Today we will see the central theme of this scene, or the central theme of the entire drama. In the introduction, I told you that the drama Merchant of Venice revolves around a particular theme, that is the Bond story. And we will discuss the Bond story today, and you have to study this part very well because this is very important. So we will start. Shylock says here, "This kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary, seal me there, your single bond, and in a merry spot. If you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such a sum or sums are expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me. This kindness will I show." The last part ended with a dialogue from Bassanio. This were kindness. And before that, Shylock said that his offer was something very kindness. And in reply to that one, Bassanio said that you are offered and you are very kind. Now Shylock says that, and I am going to show what is the meaning of kindness. So the right side you just see, perhaps here it means I shall return similar treatment. Three different meanings of kindness we discussed. So maybe the third meaning applicable here. And in that sense only Shylock said, "This kindness will I show." That means Shylock is going to return similar treatment. And what all other treatment Shylock got earlier? He was ridiculed and abused by Antonio. And the same way Shylock also is going to treat Antonio. And then he continues, "Go with me to a notary." Notary means a legal officer or a lawyer. And from there, seal me there. Seal me means sign for me. Your single bond. You have to study what is the meaning of single bond. Sometimes the questions can be asked. It is a bond undertaken by one man, not by two men, only by one man. And here it must be signed by Antonio alone, not Bassanio. Only single man. A single bond means a bond undertaken by one man. Bond means a contract. A contract or a bond undertaken by one man, and Here it is signed by Antonio alone. And in a merry sport means a pleasant joke or a funny game. As a funny game, I will put a particular contract or a bond there. What is that? If you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sum or sums are expressed in the condition. That means, if you are not able to pay the amount, here it is 3000 ducats. If you are not able to pay the amount on such a day means after 3 months, exact day after 3 months, in such a place where it is mentioned in the contract, such sum, here 3000 ducats or sums are expressed in the condition. Expressed in the condition means the terms of the contract. Whenever we make a contract or a bond, we put certain conditions there. So here Shylock says that according to the condition expressed or mentioned in the contract, if you are not able to repay the amount on such a day, in such a place and such an amount, then what will be the result? Let the forfeit means the penalty, the one who violated, here Antonia, be nominated for an equal pound of your flesh. Now here Shylock is going to mention about the penalty. What will be the penalty if the person is not able to pay the amount on such a day, such a place and such an amount? Then the penalty is that be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh. Nominated means named as. Forfeit will be named as for an equal pound of your fair flesh to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me. Pleaseth me means please me. Equal pound means exactly a pound, only 1 pound. So the penalty is that the person can cut, that means Shylock can cut 1 pound, exactly 1 pound of fair flesh from Antonio's body, from any part which pleases Shylock. And you should not, Shylock says that equal pound, equal means exactly a pound. So the meaning is given right side. Equal or the exactly means not more than 1 pound or not less than 1 pound. Equal, exact 1 pound. Note the irony. Shylock himself emphasized the condition an exact pound. That exact pound, that has got very important meaning in this play. An equal pound, and you are not supposed to skip that word whenever some questions asked related to this bond. What is the bond? Then if you are writing only pound, then you are not going to get the mark. Exactly a pound. Equal pound. That word must be there. And Shylock's demand or the bond is that one. If Antony is not able to pay the amount on such a day, such a place and such an amount, then the penalty is that Shylock can cut a fair flesh, equal pound of fair flesh from Antonio's body, which pleases Shylock. Then Antonio says, content in faith, I will seal to such a bond, and say there is much kindness in the Jew. Content here means, okay, I agreed. I am indeed content, I am happy, and I agree with you. And I will seal, I will sign such a kind of bond. I don't have any problem. And say there is much kindness in the Jew. But here Antonio thinks that Shylock is very kind. Why? Because Antonio is sure that he will be able to repay the amount within 3 months. Because all his ships are coming back with much wealth. So Antonio is overconfident. And he thinks that he will be able to repay the amount. So in that way, Antonio thinks. So he feels that Shylock is showing such a kind of kindness. Then Bassanio says, you shall not seal to such a bond for me. I will rather dwell in my necessity. You should not sign such a kind of bond for me. Actually, Antonio is signing the bond for Bassanio because Bassanio wanted to go to Belmont. For that reason only, Antonio is signing this bond. That is why Bassanio says, don't sign such a kind of bond for me. I will rather dwell in my necessity. I will rather dwell in my necessity. The meaning 154. I will rather remain in my present state of need. That means I will be satisfied with whatever things I am having and I am happy with that one. Don't sign such a kind of bond for me. Antonio says, why fear not, man? I will not forfeit it. Within these 2 months, that's a month before this bond expires, I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond. Why fear not, man? Don't worry, man. I will not forfeit it and I am not going to get any penalty for it. Why? Within these 2 months, that's a month before this bond expires. The bond is for 3 months and Antonio is very confident that within 2 months he will be able to repay the amount. And that is why he says within 2 months, that is month before the bond expires. Within 2 months I can pay back the amount. And how much amount he will be able to pay back? I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond. 9 times or many times more than the value of this bond. I will be able to pay back within 2 months because my ships are back and once they are at Venice, then I will be able to pay back the amount more than 9 times the value of the bond amount. Shylock says, O Father Abraham, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others. Here Shylock says that, O Father Abraham. Abraham, we know, he is one of the forefathers of Jewish religion. What type of people these Christians are? The meaning of what these Christians are means what type of people are these Christians? Their own unjust dealing. Hard dealings means unjust dealings. Teaches them to suspect. Suspect means to doubt the thoughts of others, the intentions of others. Here Shylock says that, O Father Abraham, what type of people these Christians are? Their own unjust dealings make them to suspect the intentions of others. So who is doubtful here? Bassanio is very doubtful. That is why Bassanio says that don't sign such a kind of bond. And there is a reason to doubt because if we cut 1 pound of flesh from the body, then it means that that person will die. So there is a reason behind the doubt, but Shylock justifies his contract and says that it is the mistake of these Christians. Because of their unjust dealings, they think that my bond is not something good. And that is the reason for their doubt. Their own intentions, the bad intentions and the bad dealings that make them to doubt the dealings or the intentions of other people. Pray you, tell me this. If he should break his day, what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeiture? Break his day means break his promise to pay on a certain day. If he is unable to pay the amount on the particular day mentioned in the contract, then what should I gain? What will I get? What would I gain by taking such a penalty? What should I gain by the extraction of the forfeiture? Forfeiture means penalty. Exaction means taking. What should I gain by taking such a kind of penalty or the forfeiture? And he continues, a pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so estimable. The flesh of human being, it is not having any value. A pound of human flesh is not any value as mutton, beef or lamb. Compared to the flesh of other animals, the human flesh, it has got no value because the mutton, beef or goat's flesh that we can eat and we can get from the market, but the human flesh, it has got no value. So what should I gain? If I take 1 pound of flesh also, what is the problem? There is no problem and I am not going to gain anything in my life by getting the flesh of Antonio or a human being. So here in a way he is undervaluing the human nature, the human qualities, and according to Shylock, even a human being or Antonio is not having the value of a mutton, beef or goats. That is why if I take 1 pound of flesh also there is no problem, and it has no value at all in the market compared to any other flesh like mutton, beef or goats. But one thing you should remember, that the life of Antonio is in danger. But Shylock didn't consider that one. He just taking the value of the flesh only, not about the life. I say, to buy his favor I extend his friendship. If he will take, so; if not, adieu. I say to buy his favor. I say this in order to gain his friendship. What is the purpose of saying or making such a beautiful or merry sport? What is the reason? It is to gain the friendship. And we know it is not a merry sport or a funny game, because the life of Antonio is in danger if he breaks the bond. That is why Shylock says that I give such kind of a beautiful bond only because I want to gain his friendship. And if he accept it, that is all right. If it is not, goodbye to you. Adieu means goodbye. So if you are accepting, you can accept. Otherwise, goodbye to you. So here from this dialogue we can understand that Shylock undervalues the human life and humanity. And even he is considering the life of a human being lower than the animals. So here he justifies his bond, and it is something good, and there is nothing wrong in it, and only because of the unjust thinking or the dealings of the Christians, they think or doubt that this bond is not good. But we know this bond is not something good, and this bond is unjust bond. And then Shylock continues, and for my love, I pray you, wrong me not. But do not be unfair to me for offering this act of love. I offered such a kind of love to you, and don't think anything wrong about me. So he is just making clear his point, and he wanted to justify his point. But do not be unjust to me for offering this act of love. And we know what is the act of love here. Taking 1 pound of flesh if the person is breaking the bond. And it is not such a kind of act of love. It is act of revenge. In order to take the revenge only, Shylock says that. Antonio in return says that, yes, Shylock, I will seal unto the bond. I will sign the bond. Yes, Shylock, I will sign the bond. Then Shylock continues, then meet me forthwith at the notary's office. Give him direction for this merry bond. Then meet me soon at the notary's, that means the lawyer's office, and inform him about this funny bond. Shylock says that, then meet me soon at the lawyer's office and inform about the funny bond and the funny game here. Then he continues, and I will go and purse the ducats straight. See to my house, left in the fearful guard of an unthrifty knave, and presently I will be with you. And now Shylock is leaving the place, and we know the scene is taking place in the Venice. Now Shylock wanted to go to his home. That is why he says, I will go home. He will go home and make ready the ducats in a purse. And one more thing he wants to do is that he wants to see whether his house is safe. The reason is that he left the house in the fearful guard. Fearful guard means left in the unsafe care of an unthrifty knave. Unthrifty knave means irresponsible servant. So Shylock left the house in the unsafe care of the irresponsible servant. So he wants to go and check whether everything is safe. So I hope that you understood that meaning. He wants to go to house whether it is safe or not, because he left the house in the careless in charge of an unreliable or irresponsible servant. And I will be with you. I will be with you. And presently I will be with you means soon, very soon I will be with you. Where? in the notary's office or the lawyer's office. I will be there. He, the gentle Jew. He means make haste, hurry up, gentle Jew. Then Shylock leaves the scene and he goes to his home. The Hebrew will turn Christian. He grows kind. The Jew will soon become a Christian, for he is becoming generous. Why he says, according to Antonio, the Christians are so much generous. And here Antonio still believes that it is a generous act by Shylock. He is doing good and kind offer. That is why he says he is going to become a Christian, a good person. He grows kind because he becomes very generous. But Bassanio is still doubtful. He says, I like not fair terms and villain's mind. Apparently kind words offered by villain's mind. That is the meaning of fair terms and villain's mind. The meaning, I do not like to trust the kind words uttered by one with the mind of a villain. So earlier we had seen the goodly apple with the rotten at the heart, then the villain with the smiling face. The same kind of usage only here also. Appearance is something very good, but inside he uttered good words, the fair words, but with the villain's mindset. So that is the reason Bassanio is very doubtful. Then Antonio says, come on, in this there can be no dismay. Dismay means reason for fear. Come on, there is nothing to fear in this bond. My ships will be back. My ships come home a month before the day. My ships will back a month before the day which has been agreed in the bond. That is the reason Antonio is not worried about the bond. He believes that within 2 months his ship will be back and he will be able to pay back all the amount. I hope that you understood this part. Here Shylock says about the bond, if the person is unable to pay the amount on such a day, such a place and such an amount, then Shylock can cut exact pound of the fair flesh of Antonio, which part pleases Shylock. And Bassanio was too much doubtful about that one, and Shylock justifies his contract or the bond and saying that in order to gain friendship only he is making such a kind of funny bond and such a kind of good offer. But Bassanio still doubts, and Antonio is not doubting the intentions of Shylock and believes that he will be able to pay back all the amount within 2 months. So I hope that you understood this part. You may just go through the part in detail and the meanings given there. So dear friends, we finished Act 1, Scene 3. So that is the completion of Act 1. From this scene, Act 3, we had seen that Bassanio comes to Shylock and asking for 3,000 ducats for 3 months. And guarantee of these 3,000 ducats is Antonio. But Shylock says that Antonio's ships are in risk. Then also Shylock is ready to give the money to Bassanio. In that occasion, Antonio comes to the scene and Shylock thinks about Antonio and he says to himself about how and why he hates Antonio. There are 3 reasons. Because Antonio is a Christian. Second one, Antonio brings down the interest rate in Venice. And finally, he abuses. Antonio used to abuse Shylock many times. Then the conversation between Antonio and Shylock starts. Shylock says that he is not having enough money that moment, but he is ready to supply the money by getting money from someone else, from Tubal. And then Antonio says that this is the first time he comes to someone to get money with the interest. He doesn't have a custom of giving or taking money with the interest. Then Shylock justified his money lending practice by quoting the religious text, the scripture from Bible. He quotes one story of Jacob and justified his money lending practice. But Antonio was not quite happy with the quotation or the quoting of Shylock from religious text, and he says to Bassanio that Shylock is a man in good appearance, but inside he is an evil person. Then Shylock explains about the reasons or the abuses that Antonio had done to Shylock. Many times Antonio insulted Shylock. So one by one Shylock explains to Antonio. But Antonio says that even he is ready to do the same kind of insult again, even if he gives the money. So we can note that there is no change in attitude. There is no change at all. There is no change at all in the attitude of Antonio towards Shylock. But again Shylock says that he is ready to give the money to Antonio without any kind of interest, but there should be a bond. And what is the bond? If Antonio fails to repay the amount on the exact day, then Shylock can cut 1 pound of flesh from any part of Antonio's body. That was the bond, and this bond is very important. And as we seen in the introduction part, the entire drama revolves around this bond story, and Antonio is agreeing with that one. But Bassanio says to Antonio that it is not good, that bond is not good, you should not agree. But Antonio is agreeing with that one because Antonio was very sure about his profit, his business, and he thought that he can repay the amount on time. Overconfidence. He was very confident and he thought that he will be able to pay the amount on time, and he agrees. Shylock calls this bond as a merry sport, a fun game. Shylock says to Antonio that we will have a fun game that if you are not able to pay the amount on time, I will cut 1 pound of flesh from your body, any part of your body. That was the demand. And then Shylock says to Antonio, we have to go to the lawyer and sign the bond there. So that is the end of this scene. I hope that you understood some important things you have to do. First of all, you have to write the summary of all these 3 scenes. Those who are not written, please write all these scenes, first, second, third. Summary of all these scenes. Second one is that from each scene you have to write at least 2 unsolved paragraph question answers. Then the character study. First scene, you have seen many characters were there, and you have to write down the characteristics of all those introduced in the first scene. And the second one, there also about Nerissa, Portia, and different suitors and their characteristics. That also you have to write in your notebook. In the third scene, the villain is introduced, and his character also you have to write, and you can refer your textbook. Even in your textbook it is given page number 12, and in your workbook also it is given. You may please go through and write in your own words. And I hope that you understood, but there are 2 stories discussed. First one, it is about the habit of pork eating and what the Nazareth or the Jesus Christ did to the pork. That I will attach in class notes on CSOF. And the second story, it is about Jacob and his profit making. That story also I will attach, and those who are interested, they can read and get more meaning. And I want to tell you one more thing, that don't think that by one reading you will learn all the MOV. It is not that much easy. The Merchant of Venice, you can't understand and study with one reading. It is not possible. That is why you have to prepare very well. The meanings given there, the right side, that you have to go through each one, and the meaning there, that may be totally different from the meaning that we use right now. That is why you have to go through and study those meanings given there in the textbook, not your own meanings, the exact meanings. Sometimes, as I told, the meanings also will be asked for your exam. So according to that, you may please study. Hope that you all understood. Please go through the chapter, the scenes, the 3 scenes that we discussed, and you will have a test on all these 3 scenes soon, so you may prepare very well. Thank you. Have a nice day.